Welcome to our Daily Forex market analysis, and this is in preparation for trading on September 7th, 2018. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. As usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar here. We had a number of pieces of news coming out in the U.S. session.
Housing finance data for July. Out of Japan, overall household spending for July, as well as wages data for index for July.
Sorry about that. My news feed is still on, so let me just turn that off for a second. Okay, I will go back. All right, so we have we had some news coming out in the New York session, but nothing major. Nothing major really changed. Market seems to be consolidating ahead of our non-farm payroll. The ADP non-farm payroll numbers were negative here, lower than expected here. PMI numbers were better than expected, but overall, not a whole lot in terms of movement. Where we saw movement was in the Japanese yen, and we'll get to that. Tomorrow, important news for US and Canada both. We do have trade balance numbers out of the Eurozone in the London session, but then in the New York session, we have employment numbers for Canada, as well as a very important here market moving event would be the non-farm employment numbers. So two things we have to pay attention to, not just the employment numbers here and unemployment rate, but also the average hourly earnings. If any of these numbers are actually negative, it could have a negative impact on the US dollar. So all three numbers actually play a role. So just keep that in mind. If we get, let's say, good numbers for the employment numbers, low unemployment rate, but then low average hourly earnings, it could still make the US dollar go down. So that's something to keep in mind. They want to see hourly earnings going up over time. And that's what the central bank is looking for. So that's why average hourly earnings are just as important as the employment numbers. All right, so let's move on to our charts here. Very, very small move for the day. Not a whole lot movement. Looks like market is consolidating ahead of the non-farm payroll numbers, which tends to happen. And today for Euro-US dollar, we see a small pin bar here. Price went up yesterday. We were looking for the price to go higher. It did go higher and then pulled back from there. And now we have a bearish pin bar. So at this point, I will look for price to drop here, but we do have non-farm payroll data coming out tomorrow, and based on how the data comes out, it could go either way. The volume here is neutral as well, which means we could go either way in terms of where the price goes. But just based on the technicals alone, not taking into view the non-farm payroll, right now this looks bearish, so we could see the price come down, and just based on the technicals, we could see price come down towards 1.1550 level here. So bias would be bearish based on that, but I think we are consolidating. So right now it's going sideways. And then looking at our pound here. So pound, yesterday we had seen all kinds of craziness out of pound based on the Brexit comments that had come out. So as a result of that, we had seen this large pins on both sides. So at this point, or based on that formation, I was looking for price to go higher and then drop from that. So it did push higher, but again, very small range. It just consolidated the entire day. The price just consolidated. If you go take a look at our 1 hour chart, we see that price went up and just kind of went sideways from there. Didn't really do a whole lot. So very, very small range for British pound here as well. Overall, my bias is still to the downside. I am looking for price to come back down from and fill this inefficiency here. So I'm looking for price to drop here. But again, with the non-farm payroll numbers coming out, all the US pairs will be impacted by that. Do keep that in mind. Based on the daily candle close, though, my bias is to the downside, and the target is a 1.2820 level to the downside. So we have pin on the top, looking for price to drop back into the support resistance area, essentially looking for a fill of this inefficiency. Aussie dollar here. Aussie dollar, again, range bound here. Nothing has really changed. We have a neutral candle close. Price has been trading in this range. It has a slight bias to the downside here, but overall neutral. I'm just looking for price to trade within the range. So if price goes into 0.7230, I would look for price to stay within the range and actually drop from there. So we may see one of these moves, and if price drops from here, goes into the bottom, I'm looking for price to bounce off of the bottom there, not really looking for a big move ahead of the non-farm payroll. New Zealand dollar here, this one we have a pin here as well, looking for price to drop here. My bias is bearish for New Zealand dollar. Next target will be 0.6540 level to the downside, which is the bottom of this pin, the support resistance level. So bias is bearish for New Zealand dollar. Dollar CAD here, this one dropped today, and this was the result of news that came out. So if you go back and take a look at Canadian news, I think it was the crude oil inventories that actually made it move, or that was it, I think. But it was as a result of, there was a drop. Yes. So that's why, or build up, I should say, when they were looking for a drawdown. So we saw a big drop there. And as a result, we have a bearish, sorry, no, I'm mistaken there. Sorry about that. It was Canadian dollar actually strengthened, and I think it was due to oil inventories, but not a draw. It was not a buildup, actually a drawdown. So that's what I'm thinking. Anyway, so we have seen price drop, a big drop in dollar CAD here. This looks bearish, looking for price to drop further. And this 1.3150 is a good pullback level. It could pull back higher as well into 1.3166 level here. But overall, this is a bearish candle close here. So looking for price to drop further, 1.3080 will be the target to the downside. So bias is bearish for dollar CAD. Euro pound here, this one is also continuation from yesterday here. We had a large pin. We were neutral on this. And right now, today, daily candle close is bearish. So looking for price to drop further, looking for a retest of the bottom here. 0.8950 will be the target to the downside. So with this one, we had seen a drop, a pullback, and now looking for price to drop further. Euro Swiss franc, this one moved quite a bit. So we saw Swiss crosses as well as yen crosses move a fair bit here. So overall, the bias here has been to the downside, a pullback, and now we have a bearish engulfing candle close here. So the bias is to the downside, and the next target here will be 1.1110. So bias is to the downside and looking for it to drop further. Pound Swiss franc, this one as well dropped. So big bearish candle close here. So looking for price to drop further. And in this case, let's see, where's our next target is 1.2380 level. So bias is to the downside. 1.2380 will be the target. Dollar Swiss franc, this one is also bearish here. We are into support, but that's a very strong candle here. So looking for price to drop further. This one, next target is 0.9580 level to the downside. Pound yen. Yen crosses had a nice drop here as well. And as we can see, price moved to the downside, especially in the New York session here. We saw that drop. Bias right now is to the downside. First target would be the bottom of these pins here, 142.50 level, and then looking for price to drop further into 141.80 level to the downside. So bias is bearish for pound yen. Euro yen here as well. Nice bearish engulfing candle close, and looking for price to drop further. 128.31 is the first level, but this one could go lower. Second target would be 127.60, and depending on how big of a move we see, this could go drop further here as well. But overall bias is to the downside. We have a nice bearish engulfing candle close here on the daily. Dollar yen, this one is also biased to the downside, and looking for price to drop further. Next target 110. 110.00 will be the next target to the downside. So bias is bearish for dollar yen as well. Same with Aussie yen. All the yen crosses dropped today, and now we're looking for prices to drop further. This one here, we have next target would be 79.14, but I think it could go lower here. So 78.70 will be the target to the downside for Aussie yen. Bias is bearish. New Zealand yen, the bias is bearish here as well. We have an engulfing candle close. The next target here would be 72.37 level, and I think it could drop further as well here. And below that, we're looking at 71.80 level to the downside. So bias is bearish for New Zealand yen as well. Same thing with CAD yen, bias is bearish and looking for price to come to 83.60 level and then potentially go down further into 83.20 level. Pound New Zealand, this one didn't really do a whole lot. I was looking for a retest of this level. It did do a retest, but hasn't really dropped. So this one still has bullishness left in it. So we do have a bullish candle close. So this one could go up further here, looking for 1.9698. So 1.9700 is where it could go to. But we do have to keep this in mind. If it does not go above 1.9640, it could actually 1.9650, it could just turn around from there and then come down. But once it clears this level, looking for 1.9700. Euro New Zealand here, this one I was looking for a drop. This one, it looks neutral at this point. There is still this bias to the upside right now, and as a result, overall bias is bullish and looking for. So at this point, we are kind of sideways here. This one could pull back further. So I think this one could come down further, but right now bias is neutral. So I'm not, this is not my favorite pair to trade at this point. As we can see, the volume is neutral here as well. EuroCAD, this one is looking bearish. We have a nice bearish engulfing candle close, and it could move lower. I'm looking for it to come into 1.5200 level to the downside. So bias is bearish for EuroCAD. Pound CAD as well, bias is bearish. We have a nice tweezer top here, nice pin bar here with second pin, looking for price to come back into the bottom of this pin right from where the move started, 1.6870. So if you take a look, we had price was at the top, went and did a double top formation here and then dropped from there, and now looking for price to come in and fill this inefficient move, looking for it to come down now. Bias is bearish for pound CAD. Euro Aussie here, this one we have a pin bar here, so bias is bearish, looking for price to drop further. And we are looking at 1.6070 level. Pound Aussie here, this is looking bearish as well. We have multiple pins here, so this one could drop. The next target would be 1.7820 level. But because there is still bullishness in here, it could go and do a retest of this level, just like it did yesterday. So, or I should say today. It could go and do another retest and then drop. See the multiple pins here? It could do another retest into 1.8011. So bias is to the downside, but I will look for a retest of the level first and a rejection at the highs. Okay, so that's that. And Judy, to answer your question, it is being recorded, so you can. I'll post it in our Skype room. You can just look at the recording there. BTC, big drop here for Bitcoin, and it is not looking good, looking bearish. Yesterday, we were looking for a drop, and it has moved down quite a bit. So bias is still bearish, looking for it to drop further into the lows here, potentially. 58.25 would be the target to the downside. And I think I forgot gold. Let's take a quick peek at gold here. Gold is, gold has a pin bar here, but there is still bullishness in the candle. So this one could go higher, potentially to retest this level and then drop. So there is definitely rejection here from this previous support resistance level. But because there is bullishness in the candle, this candle is green. So this one could go up higher and then drop. The target here would be 1189.90 level to the downside. So, Eamon, for Bitcoin, I have not been tracking it, but looks like there must have been some news. I have not been paying close attention to the news related to Bitcoin here, but that's a huge move to the downside. Technicals were telling us that this was looking weak, but that's a substantial move. So it still looks weak. Looks like it could drop further. Japanese yen. With the Japanese yen, there's a lot of turmoil going on in the emerging markets right now, and that could be spreading to forex markets right now. And usually, when there's turmoil in the market, Japanese yen, it's a safe haven currency, tends to go up. Swiss franc is also a safe haven currency. Both of these currencies tend to go up when there are problems elsewhere in the markets. Anywhere something's going on, whether that's geopolitical or other stuff like that. Right now, emerging market issues, they usually mean that we tend to see more flow of money go into safe haven assets classes. So Japanese yen and Swiss franc are both safe haven currencies, and hence we see a move up in that. So when those currencies strengthen, the crosses will drop, and hence the drop in the Japanese yen crosses and Swiss franc crosses. Judy, I am not quite up on US dollar and Chinese yuan trend. Let me see if I have a chart that I can pull up. So let me know if you can see that. So I'm looking for US dollar and Chinese yuan, right? CNY. USD CNY. One of the issues here is they don't put them all together. Okay, so I'm going to see Hong Kong, Singapore dollar. I do not see it. Do you see it on my chart here? USD ZAR. I am not seeing it. Emin, do you see it on my in my market watch in my pairs here? I see Hong Kong dollar and Singapore dollar, but I don't see Chinese yuan. So that means I may not have it. Let me see. Yeah, and now we are getting into the different indices and stuff. You know what? Let's take a look at TradeView. Okay, we'll take a look at that later. So right now, actually, let me see if I can pull it up here. So first, let's take a quick peek at our dollar index here. Dollar index, small move for the dollar index. Yesterday, we were looking for a drop in the dollar index. We did see a small drop here. So still looking bearish right now. But see, this is the candle, but the momentum is not that great to the downside. Still, it is bearish. So it could drop further, but we are not seeing too much momentum to the downside for the dollar index. But I think it could drop into 94.89. And if things really take a turn for the worse based on non-farm payrolls, we could see it come back all the way into the support here at 94.50 level, 94.50. So really depends if the non-farm payroll number comes out positive. This one could push up into 95.30 or 35 level there. And if it doesn't, the non-farm payroll number is negative. I think we'll see a drop and it could go all the way to 94.50 level. So right now, overall bias right now for dollar index is to the downside. And then let's take a look at, so USD, CNY. Here we go. Let's take a quick peek at this. All right, so this is our daily chart. So it looks kind of sideways right now, slightly bullish, but kind of going sideways. It looks like it's trading in a range. It is holding towards the high of the range. So we'll have to see a break above 6.85 level there. And if it breaks above that, then it could go all the way up. There's more room here into 6.88. Level there, but right now it's trading in this range. So right now looking range bound, but it does have that triangle formation here. So it is pushing to the upside there. So let me draw a quick, here's our trend line. So see how it's trending upwards. So this is our uptrend line here. So if it goes above 66.84 level, then chances are it will break above. So tomorrow we don't have the trade room, but we do have webinar. So our educational members only webinar tomorrow will be at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. So we shall do that. The trade room is only Tuesday to Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and analysis, of course, is Monday to Thursday. But tomorrow we'll have an educational webinar, and we'll take a look at how to trade using the daily candlesticks. So that will be the topic, as well as we'll talk about the average true range. So those will be the two topics that we will discuss for tomorrow. Any questions or any other questions before we wrap it up here? Judy, yes, the members webinar is for trade room members. So that's only for trade room members. And this analysis is also for trade room members. For the last couple of weeks, I've been posting it for everybody on YouTube, but generally the analysis will be from now on, it will only be for trade room members, and as well as the Friday webinar is only for trade room members. So yes, anybody who's part of the trade room can join. So feel free to join us tomorrow. And I'm going to have a quick peek here. All right, so you guys, we will wrap it up here. I may send out a trade here shortly. It's the trading webinar is at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Yes. All right, you guys, we'll call it a wrap. You guys have a wonderful evening, and I will see you for our webinar tomorrow morning. Bye for now.